All right, we have come to the end of our show, and bringing up the rear is one of my favorite people on earth, Fran Sisco, or just Francisco, whatever you want to call her. She's a left brain, right brain creative who freely and fully expresses her creativity and desire to make a difference in the world by focusing on issues of authenticity, honesty, fairness, kindness, diversity, and inclusiveness. She interacts her left brain analytical and detailed skills with her right brain skills of lateral thinking, intuition, and sensitivity applied to various creative disciplines, including writing, songs, poems, plays, and essays, entertaining, stand-up comedy, singing, sketch comedy, filmmaking, producing scores of shows, visual arts, paintings, sculptures, and collages, radio and internet show hosting, inventions, motivational speaking, and trans advocacy. You can follow Fran at transfrancisco.com, Facebook Cisco, Cisco with an S, and Venmo Fran-Cisco, no underscore. So let's welcome to the stage, Trans Francisco. Hi, Fran.
Hi, Chauncey.
How are you?
Hi, everyone.
I have your performances like revved up, but I just want to chit chat a little with you. How's it going?
Yes, I'd love to.
How's it going?
The show has been amazing. It really has.
Fun, right? It's been a fun show.
Yeah, and if I could just say a couple of things about what's happened so far. There's like connections to not only knowing the other performers, but there's connections, deep connections to the songs, to things that were said. And I was thinking that it seems so magical when we look back on this a couple of years from now, in the middle of a pandemic, with all of these problems, there was freak out.
Yes, there was.
It's really pretty heavenly, actually.
Aw, that makes me very happy. That makes me happy. That makes me smile on the inside.
Yeah, right. And your Broadway to Bombay, I had a flashback to your first announcement of it at Stonewall. I remember. Everything. Carlos, when he was up, when they were doing that thing, I was seeing the films that were at Stone. I was just going back over and over as each performer was doing their thing, and they were really great. And I think Nikki, I actually performed with her at recently at Quentin's reading. I think Quentin Crisp's reading at through or sponsored by Gene Frankel Theater. But anyway,
the lavender-haired homosexual.
What'd you say?
He was a lavender-haired homosexual.
Homosexual. Can I say something about Valentine's Day?
Was he a part of the Mattachine Society? No, right?
What?
He wasn't part of the Mattachine Society, was he?
I don't think so.
He was great.
But you know what? I was given a book at the end of that about him at the end of that performance. It's sitting on my washing machine. I haven't read it yet. I can look it up tomorrow and let you know.
Okay.
I have a quick story, Valentine's story.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a show going on. They wanted a 30-second clip of your first date.
Oh, wow.
And my first day, I was 20 years old. I was on my way into New York City on the train. I see this really gorgeous girl about the same age. I sit next to her. We start talking. On the train ride back, I made sure I sat next to her again to get more friendly. And across the aisle was my friend Tommy and said, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, "I'm going to a wedding, Richie's wedding." He says, "Oh, I'm going too. I'm getting married."
Wow.
So he looked at me and said he knew I broke up with this other girl. He says, "Who are you taking to the wedding?" So I looked next to me and he went like, ask her, And so I leaned over and I said, "Lori, would you like to go to a wedding on Saturday night?" And she said, "Yes." When I went home, I was living at home at the time. I said to my father, "Today I met the girl I'm going to marry."
Aww.
And I married her.
Wow.
And I actually spoke to her last night, and I shared that story with her. So that kind of leads into these poems. If you're
I'm all ready.
if you're ready,
I kind of look like Sharon Stone from
you
Ratched.
absolutely like her. In fact, your body is very much like her.
From that Ratched show when she played the rich woman with the monkey.
Oh, I don't remember that show.
It just came out recently.
Oh, really? Okay.
The first one is "Ode to be Uncreative," right?
Yes. Ode to be Uncreative.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you ready?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm going back to some of these old poems as a way to kind of tie up loose ends in my life. And I'm loving that I'm still the same person, no matter how much I've changed. I love changing, and I love also continuity. Anyway.
They do say, though, that every 7 years, your body entirely regenerates. So there's not one cell in your body that was the same cell 7 years ago.
Yeah, I've heard that. Isn't that
so when you look at your yearbook photo, it looks like you, but you have nothing.
I wonder if that accelerates when you're on hormones.
So you're like every
joke. Yeah.
Every 4 years, you're a new person.
Every 3 days.
All right, so we're gonna flip on to "Ode to be Uncreative." Then we'll talk a little, then we'll do the second one. Is that cool?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
There's a little music behind this first one, I think.
Okay.
I hope it's not distracting.
Okay.
So you like when they say, "Oh, she's creative," or "He's creative," or "They're creative." Yeah, you like that, huh? Well, at some point, you're going to hate your own creativity because it's like a drug. It's like worse than drinking, worse than drugs. It's addictive. And here's a poem that I wrote about it when I faced another failure. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather be creative than not. But here is a poem called "Oh, to be Uncreative." Someone said that which gives you life can kill you too. The line rings true about me and you. You, my creativity. You, my inspiration. You, my nemesis. I never thought we'd be adversaries, you and I, after all those years in the sun, having all that fun creating things like poems and stories, contraptions, and plans and ways to make the world better and my world better. But you got me in this mess. You tantalized me with the nectar of your ideas, and I made them mine, and they whip me side by side and spin me round and round like some carnival ride. Now I avoid you. I'm looking out for you. When you creep around the corner in the shadow, and just when I'm getting myself back on track, then you step into the light, and with your eyes wide, with a smile of wonder, I see it stops me cold. 100 bursts explode in my mind's neural network, and I see your inspiration, the idea that you give to me, and I can't refuse it. It envelops me, pulled in by the truth the idea reveals. It's clear and stark, right and pure, and I melt into the thought of it and love it. I hold it in my mind's eye, and that wraps around it like a mother clutches a long-lost son. And there I go, following the idea, enraptured, oblivious to time and care and woe, and blind to financial concern and family and others around me, following the idea, seduced, until
I see how selfish I am. And then despising you, the cause, and hating your brilliance. Oh, if only the glow of the ideas was not as bright and not as frequent, for then I could live my life in a more measured and peaceful cadence. Please, let me be alone for a while. I will look for you when I'm ready. I know where you'll be lurking, near the things that need improving and fixing, hanging around the ways that need fixing and improving too, near the emptiness that needs filling, next to dullness, adjacent to failures. Let me be consumed for a while by unimaginative, uncreative thoughts so I could rest and regather and then dance and sing and see the world for what it is and for not how I make it. For I am not God. And you, my creative side, are not God's angel, but rather the devil, who turns humility and love into pride and distrust. Be gone for now. Out of my life. Out.
Wow, Fran, that was sensational.
Thank you. Thank you.
Holy moly. I was sucked into that.
Thank you. That's a true story. I was working on something like an invention. I was supposed to get this big advance and it fell through. And I got so upset with myself that I started speaking that poem, like just came to me.
Wow.
Many years ago. And luckily I remembered enough of it that I wrote it down. And so I do think that creativity has a dangerous side. But like I said in the beginning, I would rather be creative than uncreative. But like with anything really good, you have to have balance, you know. You have to, you know.
No, definitely. No, that
moderate it. Glad you like it.
I'm always amazed when someone can I write a lot of poetry, but Satania Face does it too. Like I guess I haven't really tried, but I don't remember everything as much as like you and Satania just remembered every line. And maybe do you
you know what?
The
way it happened last night, in this next poem, there's a urinal. And, you know, like a urinal that a man would stand at.
Yes.
So I went to the local supermarket, an Acme supermarket, to find if they had one. They did, in the basement. So I went down the basement and I thought I was just going to see where it was and then come back today. I went last night and instead I did it right then. In the bathroom, I practiced the poem over and over. And because for that poem, either that poem or this, I didn't have the sheets with me, so I couldn't even read it. I had to call it back from memory. But anyway, you would be able definitely to do it, Chauncey. I know you would.
It's kind of like a script, right? It's kind of like memorizing.
Yeah, exactly. You just keep on going over and over, you know.
I can kind of like I can ad lib like a perform. Like I could like somebody gave me a topic. I could pretend I'm a character, but like the words of the poetry that I write, I would have a hard like maybe I'll
what you do is what a suggestion is to put a rhythm to it. I'll give you one quick example. It's in this next poem. And this is the phrase. It's something, you know, there's a thing, an idea about something always ruins it. Something ruins it. Maybe groups or maybe governments. Maybe gods or maybe gorillas. Maybe guidelines or maybe gunfire. Maybe Germans or maybe gooks. But the alliteration in that poem, the G's.
I love alliteration.
The the rhythm of it, that all helps in the memorization. And when you're writing it, it's good idea to build that in. It helps with the. Anyway.
I mean, I was in a lot of plays, and I remembered my lines. It's been so long. I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's why
I love your poem.
That's why I like doing these.
Poem.
Oh, thank you. That's why I like doing these visual poetry films, because I can record it and then I can get creative with the visual and all that kind of stuff. So it's a different medium. But I'm getting savvy with iMovie. But so should we get to our next your next performance?
Yes.
Okay. All
Little
right.
setup? No?
Yeah, you can give me setup, yeah.
Yeah, a little setup. I wrote this poem. I don't want to give away my age, but I wrote this poem over 40 years ago. And this came to me while I was standing at a urinal taking a leak. And it seemed like the only time I really thought a lot is when I was at a urinal and it wasn't coming out and I had to stand there. And that's when I was thinking about things. And it was sad that was the time I devoted to thinking about things. But this is a poem about that. It's called I'd Rather, But I Can't.
The key test if I'm a new person is how I deliver a poem that meant a lot to me when I was a guy, and I wrote it in a bathroom. I created it in a bathroom and I wrote it afterwards in a men's room, sort of just like this, at a urinal. Just like this, or only older and uglier. So here goes. Let's see how much I can remember it. Written probably 50 years ago. It's called I'd rather, but I can't. You do that to make you take a leak. The sound of the water helps. And you can't leak when you start thinking about things. Here goes. Waiting here for it to finally piss or pass, or call it what you may. Hell, it's the same today as any other day, except for some odd evenings of food and drink, and those we won't count, we'll shut them off with a blink. Piss, urine, tinkle, hell, call it Rip Van Winkle, screw the description, because the act is good, because it makes me think. Stuck in a bathroom to write good thoughts down on, without a pen and paper to write good thoughts down with. Thoughts like these are not remembered delicately, but later written uncraftedly. I'd rather bawl with you under the sun or under the moon or in the rain or on the grass. I'd rather breathe sweet-smelling air or taste tasty mineral water or eat fresh-picked fruits from Eden's yard. I'd love to play with you the day away. Let me love with you my life away. Whatever, wherever, however, whoever. It just spends dollars and doesn't make sense. It stinks like that stupid piss I was leaking. I'd rather bowl under the sun. I'd rather, but I can't. Something always ruins it. Maybe groups, or maybe governments, maybe gods, or maybe gorillas, maybe guidelines, or maybe gunfire, or maybe Germans, or maybe kooks, or down below the ground. Oh, I'd rather play with you the day away. Let me live with you my life away. Everything stinks like that stupid piss I was leaking. The piss comes out and leaves you satisfied. The piss comes out and leaves you satisfied? Screw the description. The act is good because it makes me think. And I hope one day I can say, thoughts, cares, go away. Come again some other day. Probably when with piss I'm full, standing at this old ugly enamel urinal.
Holy cow! You remembered all that from
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago? Holy cow!
yeah. There was one.
Fran, this
There,
is a side of you. These past two freakouts is a side of you that I knew was in there, but like never had got a chance to witness it because you're always doing like either parodies or you're doing performing with the Imperial Court. That's where I met you.
right.
But it's like this is like wow. I feel like I got led into a secret club.
Yeah, it's a heavy side of me, but I think we all have those heavy sides, and it's a real thoughtful side. And I'm going back, just last week, I did a song parody called "That Strife." That's what all the
Yeah.
trans girls say. And it was like fun and upbeat and funny and everything. But I need to have that, and I need to have the more serious. I'm getting very involved in social justice issues
Mhm.
and Black Lives Matter and stuff, and
Yes.
I'm feeling really good about that, and so it's part of being ADD. I think is being like all different things and personalities and stuff. You're that way too, I think. No,
Yeah, I can't. I don't know how people just like are an accountant or they're just a
right,
cab driver or they're
right,
just a baseball player. Like the list of things I want to do is longer
yeah.
than it gets longer every year.
I had a crazy thought, Chauncey. Maybe this will be it on a positive note. That somehow these vaccines and everyone, you know, sorrowfully, a lot of people died and got sick, but somehow these vaccines will lead us to a better health situation for all of the population, and maybe we'll all live longer instead of
Hmm.
shorter. Maybe there'll be like another side of this.
That's a wonderfully optimistic. I love that. I love that idea.
I want to, and I want to stay in that thinking,
Like
for a
like
while anyway.
like
And
almost like it makes us like gives us like a super strength in a way.
yeah, like a super strength physically, and also the emotional turmoil that we've been through gives us a spiritual or a mental fitness
Yes, mental
that
fitness.
we wouldn't have
Well,
had otherwise.
well, here's the weird thing, and I often felt like I'm being honest now, and on broadcasting whoever's watching, but it's like um, there was only about 1 week where I flipped out and lost my mind.
Yeah,
Like I keep seeing people like oversharing on Facebook and oversharing, like not that they need to do it because they need to get it out and they need to express themselves and all that. But I've seen so many people lose their mind early on in the pandemic, like in April or in June, and maybe I was able to, like I had the opportunity to work 2 days a week at Stonewall, so that kept my mind
right.
busy. I've been volunteering at Sylvia's place. That like I even told some of the people that I volunteer with, like when I go there, I'm out of Chauncey's life, and I'm helping people, and I have to be there for 3 hours. I show up every week, 2 times a week. Like it's like I force myself to do that, and maybe I've kept busy, but I don't know why I don't know why I was never so afraid of the virus. I never was that afraid of it. Like I was
Yeah.
scared in the beginning,
Right.
And I totally understand all the people who were terrified, and there were people who didn't get on the subway and still haven't gotten on the subway. And there's people who haven't gotten on the subway until like end of June. And, like I started getting on, like what is, I don't know what, I was like, am I just going to have like a total breakdown? But I just had about a week and a half back when like the unemployment, I was like waiting and I couldn't get through to people, and there was something wrong with my claim. There was like a little break in it, and like once they got that, then I got everything that I was supposed to get. But like I kind of lost my mind a little bit there, because I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And then about like a month or two ago, around the holidays, I kind of got a little like over it as well, and I kind of whatever.
I think possibly for you too. I think being LGBT gives you a bit more fortitude, and also because hundreds and hundreds thousands of people.
I don't know about hundreds of thousands.
Well, hundreds, thousands of people, and I think you get to see a lot of people who go through it and who are, people to emulate. You probably get some good role models.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know I didn't have that I shouldn't say it, because I didn't have much of a bad time with it, because I threw myself into doing more things during this time. It ends up I was busier and not just busy work, I was busier. I called it the grand awakening of people and of me personally. I found that I really got in touch with what my priorities are, which are mainly people, and also cherishing what's gone in the past. So even family of mine that's deceased, I feel their presence all the time, and I got to better appreciate the people who are here now, so that I don't have any regrets later that I didn't spend enough time with them or whatever. So
no, I totally agree. That's the one thing. Like my father was sick for about 3 weeks, and he's a stubborn 75-year-old Italian man, and he didn't want to go to the doctors. And my brother got tested; he was negative. My brother still lives at home, and my dad was sick. And the thing is, I'm not the type of person who would post that on Facebook. I find it a little crazy sometimes, the things that people share. Like I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing sacred, like whatever. But the other issue is that I didn't tell everybody, but I was like, there was a moment where I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen my dad, since before the pandemic because of life, and then that happened, so I didn't see him for this whole time. Like, what if something were to happen to him? Like the last like 2 years of his life, I didn't get a chance to even hang out with him,
Yeah.
So I think that affected me, and I did have a little bit of a health scare in May that I faced my mortality. I think I was having what I thought were panic attacks, but it ended up being, I guess, really horrible indigestion, heartburn, palpitations from sleep apnea. So I got that all. My heart is in good shape. Went and got all the tests and everything. I'm in good shape, but because of the sleep apnea, I was having like ridiculous heartburn that was causing panic attacks, which I heard it can.
Yes.
So I'm getting my digestive system back under control, et cetera. That's whatever, neither here nor there. But I think maybe I had my own little crisis.
Yes. Right.
And I didn't really share it with everyone. I shared it with like a few people. So I think that's why I don't know why I feel like I'm in a confessional booth right now. But I think I don't know. I always have something that like I could keep myself busy in a padded cell. Like if you tried to put me in jail, like in like solitary confinement, I'd be like, thank you. I would count the like
right. Try to catch up.
I'd count the buttons on the wall.
Stuff,
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm amazed. It was interesting to watch people's breakdowns and people's, like you said, their fortitude, and who was out there protesting, who was suddenly talking about Black Lives Matter, and who was always talking about Black Lives Matter. Well, I got to watch, and I got to be a voyeur and just see people, how people reacted to it.
What happened to me as a local county legislator kept on sending me these newsletters about marching with Black Lives Matter. And I just didn't. I mean, I understood it. I have black friends and everything, but I really didn't feel it in my soul, in my heart. And so one day I went, and it was an incredible march. It was called a dribble march. There were about 75 people with basketballs.
Oh, wow.
And they dribbled them down the main street in the town to the
Oh,
city
wow.
hall, and then did a protest, sat on the steps, and then said, hands up, don't shoot, hands up, don't.
Wow.
And about 10 minutes into this march, I got very emotionally charged about it. And I could hardly breathe. I was so taken by it.
Yeah.
That I then did a show called Judging People Unfairly, and it got me more in tune with the Black Lives Matter movement, and also just appreciating other people more, black people. And it's all because of just having a listening. I didn't have a listening all those years, it just started, so better late than never, I think. And then, so there's always something, how you could improve yourself, or how you can improve the way you think, or another thing, or transition another way, that type of thing.
Yeah. And I also think, you're Italian as well. I grew up with my Italian side of the family. We didn't grow up in the most open, there were a lot of racist comments shooting all over the place when I was a little kid. We didn't have a lot of black people in my town. We had like one or two, and then eventually families started coming in. And like I grew up near Newark, New Jersey, right over the bridge. So like if you saw a black kid, you were taught to make sure your bike is locked up. Like it was terrible.
Yeah.
The things that we were
in my household. All four of my grandparents were Italian. In my household, the men, especially the men, the uncles, my grandfathers, my father, would call black people, as you probably have heard, moulignons.
Yeah.
Which was as bad as the N-word, or worse. Yeah. And so I recently did a PSA with Episcopal Actors Guild that's just went live on Monday, and it related also to a story I told before that, and I posted it up on Facebook, and I think I'm doing a good thing, and I got a message this morning from somebody who knows me, not that closely, but knows me, and she wrote this whole page of how I should not have gotten on Italian American people because, they went through a similar thing as black people, and I mean she had the whole story down.
Yeah,
I haven't even responded to her yet, because tomorrow we have a meeting about this, how this PSA triggered or would trigger comments, and you can't change everyone's mind, and you shouldn't try to, but anyway, life is good, Chauncey. It's better because of you.
Oh, and you too, friend. Oh my God.
And when we're 100, we're going to be doing this someplace, somewhere.
Yes, we are.
Maybe there.
We're just gonna be brains in these machines. We're just
that's a good idea.
That's what I think the future is. I think we're not gonna have to reproduce. Our brains are just gonna be put in like a box. We're gonna have arms and like whatever, blah blah. But I want
to to worry about your dress if it rips.
Exactly. You tore your dress. What a mess. But I just want to give a big thanks to Bobby Blue, Aris, Craig Winberry, Mykel, the Debbie-Donnas with their little special appearance, Nikki Horton, Brady Cudmore, and obviously Fran Sisco. Tonight has been a complete joy because I didn't have to rush. I didn't feel like I was making anybody wait too long. The longest we were behind was about 15 minutes. That's just because I like to gab, and we all like to gab. But I like the idea that I was able to like have conversations with the performers. And what the problem is in the past shows, I start doing that in the beginning, and then I'm like, I'm half an hour behind, and then I end up cheating the people at the end. So this was nice that I got to I'm going to do more shows with less people, so it'll make it a little more, a little more. I hope a lot of people watched. I hope people tuned in throughout the night.
And you've recorded it, right? So we can send it out too.
It's always recorded. I don't want you sending anybody to beat me up for not recording.
Oh no.
You're all Italian. I'm half Polish. You're
Yeah,
you're
that's
full
right.
Italian. You probably know mafia people. I don't want to
Oh,
mess
yeah.
with you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
we're gonna close the night out. I'm gonna say thank you, Fran.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
Chauncey.
shoot you off the stage and just have to give some last remarks. I love you. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show. Next month's show is March is my birthday month, so I think I'm going to try to plan something. I mean, I don't know what the theme will be. It's not going to be about me particularly, but I'm going to try to get some people who I've been trying to get to perform and some of our regulars and all that kind of stuff. So it'll probably be towards mid to end of March. Because last year I was one of the first birthdays, and I was had to spend it all by myself, and I bought a piece of cheesecake and had to sing happy birthday to myself. So I don't want to do that this year. I want to celebrate my birthday with all the people that I love. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to say thank you again. Like I said, if you don't remember a performer's Venmo account, you can Venmo me at Chauncey Dandridge, or you could just Venmo me. You could tip me because it costs money to run this crazy world. No, I mean, you could tip me. You could tip the performers. There was no admission price, and you got a 2 and 45-minute show for free on the internets. So feel free to tip your performers. Like I said, if you tip me and put their name in the comment section, I'll make sure they get it. But I'm going to leave you off because I'm so proud of the weird intro pre-show video that I made, and I know some of you joined a little later, but I'm going to play it again as our outro video. So the pre-show video is going to be the outro video, and it was really wonderful creating this because I started creating it, and then each day as it simmered, more layers came into my head to add to it. So it started out as something very simple, and it was going to be quite silent, but then I started adding things to it, and I did this stream of consciousness whisper throughout the entire video, and I was only supposed to record about 7 minutes. And I sat here at my computer actually this afternoon, and I started whispering stream of consciousness, and before I knew it, like 15 minutes had passed by. So there's like a B-roll of another 7.5 minutes of me whispering strange things about life and about things that you do on a daily basis that will probably end up in another short film. But I just want to say thank you to everyone. You can follow me at djchaunceyd to find out when the next freak out will be. If you you can't really take pictures right now because we're online, but hashtag virtual freakout. Thank everybody for coming. Thank everybody for performing. And we're going to close out with showing the video that I created. Thank you so much.